Oh, good evening, good day, whatever time of the day it is for you. It is episode 12, and I am so excited about the series that we have for you on in the month of June. Good day, everybody. I want to welcome you to the month of June and welcome you to Reset to Reinvent podcast. I am your host, Helen Blocker Adams, and I am so excited. I am so excited because remember, last week you heard me share that I was going to have a series of 8 women, dynamic women who are butterflies in flight, which is our theme for this month. And I am, I'm not even going to spend a lot of time trying to get things started because I'm ready to jump in and have an interview with this young lady right here. This is Shayla Brayley Bartlett. And she is not only a friend of mine, she is a business partner. She is an entrepreneur. She is a mother. She is a caregiver for her mom and other people. And she just loves to serve people. And I want to welcome you to episode 12. And thank you for being a part of Butterflies in Flight.
No, thank you, Miss Helen. I appreciate the opportunity that you're giving me today.
Oh my goodness. So I tell you what, here's what I want to do. Now, Shayla, you wear a lot of hats. And one of the things that we talk about in the insurance industry and insurance business is that we do have to be flexible. The insurance industry is not the easiest industry to be in. And so let me ask you, first of all, what made you get into the insurance industry?
Long story short,
Okay.
guy by Roderick actually found me on Indeed. Worked in corporate America all my life, was a truck driver at one time, worked as a nurse, and I'm still licensed in nursing, but really wore the corporate hat for over 20 years and moved to South Carolina to get married. I was engaged in 2019, in December of 2019.
Okay.
Moved to a little town called Sumter, South Carolina. Didn't know anything about South Carolina. And really, it was just a journey. Got my license with another company than what I'm with now. And honestly, fell into it during COVID because everyone was saying it was a recession-proof career. And I was like, oh, I need that because, I was tired of being told due to my health issues that they had to let me go. And so when I heard that, okay, no one can fire you, that fired me up. I was like, nobody can fire me. I could be my own boss. I've never been that. So I was a little scared. So it took some coercing for him to get me into the business. But after 5 months, I was in, and I've since then never worked a 9 to 5. I haven't worked a 9 to 5 since 2019.
Since 2019. So that's what, 6 years and counting. Wow.
6 years.
Wow. Now you said so that means you got into the business and got married around the same time and relocated or located to South Carolina. So you had a lot of things going on at the same time when you made that transition during COVID.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was
Wow. So, Shayla, when you mentioned just a second ago about your health challenges, tell us a little bit about that and how you were able to maneuver. And because remember, this series is about butterflies in flight. And before I do that, let me ask you, so the idea of a butterflies in flight, I'm just kind of curious, what do you think about when you think about a butterfly, Shayla?
Well, number one, Miss Helen, I love butterflies. So as a child, my mom would fuss at me because I would actually get her to buy the catchers that you can get at the local store.
Mm-hmm.
And I would actually keep them. And at first they were dying. And I was like, Mom, I woke up and my babies are dead. And she's like, what did you think? You don't have any oxygen in that jar. Imagine telling that to an 8-year-old that she has killed her babies.
Oh.
So I never wanted to catch them anymore, but outside I would play with them. So cocooning, I would actually watch them. We had an old pecan tree, and I would actually watch them cocoon. into a butterfly.
Oh,
And I would wait days and days and days. And my grandfather, he would sit outside by the tree and he'd watch them too. He's like, I'm going to tell you when they start really, really hatching. If you're not here, I won't let you miss it. And he said, I'll catch it when it comes out so you can see it when you get home from school. And so to me, a butterfly starts off in its cocoon and then it grows and then it's let go into the environment to kind of absorb everything that's going on. And I feel that they're free flying, and it's just something that is beautiful just to see. And it's beautiful to see a person actually in their cocoon and then blossom into something they never thought that they would be. So it's a very, very wonderful experience to watch. And so I love that you've titled this podcast with that actual title. So
oh yes, butterflies in flight, and that's what when I selected the 8 women, including you, that's what I thought about. I thought about the early part of from the cocoon to the butterfly. There's a struggle there. There's a struggle when the cocoon and that extra thin. It's not a shell, but it's almost like a thin layer that it's a little bit of a struggle. And so when we think about your health challenges and some other things that's been going on, and you still having success in the insurance agency, how do you kind of correlate those together when you I think there's a parallel between that struggle that you have had and that you still have, but you still fly, you still soar. So tell us about that, because part of what we want to do in this show, in my episodes, all of the episodes, is to give people some points, give people some nuggets of how they too can soar. They may not have your health challenges, but they may have some other things going on. So tell me about the correlation of that struggle of the butterfly and some of the struggles that you deal with on a daily basis and still able to soar.
okay. Well, honestly, the number one rule is, and it's so wonderful, like I said, that you've named this podcast, this actual event that's going on within this month, with the butterfly terminology, because the number one rule is, and if you look back and you try to Google and you try to search, I always tell everybody, Google it. If you don't know it, Google it. There's no excuse not to know it. You don't have to be a medical professional like me. You don't have to have master's, bachelor's, doctorates to find the answer. Google it. So if you research it, honestly, if you read into it, there's never been a case where a butterfly has a short-term or a long-term memory.
Oh,
It's undocumented. I mean, you can't study that.
wow.
So when it comes to my health challenges, it's kind of like I lose it in the short term and I lose it in the long term. I don't really think about it until it happens at that moment.
Mhm.
And I feel that a lot of people are stuck in the past and not in the moment. So just like the butterfly's cocooning in the moment and then it goes out to fly, I'm sure it never thought about it be going back in that cocoon. I mean, I'm not going back in there.
Right.
If it could think, it's probably saying that. So a lot of people really keep themselves stuck in the past, and all I'm seeing is the future. All I'm seeing is not necessarily monetary, a prize, a new home. I'm not seeing any of that. All I'm seeing is that I'm living. I'm living to help the next person. I'm living to see my mom. I'm living to see my nieces. I'm living to see me be able to influence others and do positive things in my life. Because if I'm strong, or even if I'm looking strong, because some people will look strong, but they're not really strong, and I struggle with that also on a day to day basis. Because some days I'm not as strong, and I find myself being in a cocoon back again, and that's okay. And a lot of people slip into that deep depression because they feel it's not okay. But when you have positive people around you,
Yeah.
and when you listen to positive people like you and your podcast, I mean, it gets me out the bed. It gets me to moving. It gets me to forgetting about the pain and my um how can I say this? My syndromes, my diseases, things that I was born with that caused me to have the issues that I have now.
And with that said, with your health challenges, and you said that sometimes you just don't feel good, but there is never a time, and every time I see you, you're and I will ask, how you feeling? I'm not really feeling, but you can't look at it on the out, you can't tell on the outside. So you wear it well. And so do you find yourself being able to relate with people as we talk, and being in the insurance, being in final expense, and being able to have that sense of empathy? So do you think that some of the health challenges that you have and that you've experienced, does that give you an elevated sense of empathy, so that as you're talking with people, you're able to serve them better?
And Miss Helen, I do. My first encounter with even knowing that I had hydronephrosis, which is a congenital disease, is nothing that accrues over the time, um, kind of shocked me. I actually went over a bridge, went over 100 feet, came out of it with just a fractured pelvis,
What?
and found out 2 months later. The hospital didn't even tell me. I was discharged the same day I had the accident. No
What?
lie. No lie. Engine didn't come in the car. My car was nosedive. I knew my passenger was 6'3", about 300 pounds, and I knew because he wasn't in his seatbelt, but I was, and I knew I had to get out of there because that chemical burn, and that's what woke me up. And I pushed him back. I must have passed out again. The state trooper couldn't open up the doors, and then he saw me coming out. But I had revived the passenger. I was in medical school for nursing. And to know that even the hospital didn't tell me I had a fractured pelvis, um, and didn't tell me that, literally, okay, you're in renal failure. Until 2 months later, when I fell into a wall, and my mom, she's always been sick. So she was sick in the other room, and I'm tending to her. I'm back in Louisiana at this time because I'm a Louisiana native.
Oh, okay.
I'm back in the Bayou State, and because I used to live in Georgia, but back in the Bayou State, and fell into the wall. I was like, it's hot in here. And I look at the temperature, it's like 70. I was like, oh, something is going on. I told my mom I'm driving myself to the ER, got to the ER 3 hours later, you're in renal failure. So that was a wake up call because I had went through corporate America, and I had managed people, and I was sympathetic. I had a lot of empathy, but I don't think it was as genuine.
Okay.
It's more corporate HR, until I had to go through it,
Mm.
and was finding out, okay, like this is not how you want to live your life, but this is how you have to live your life.
Mm.
So I feel that if more people get hit with that brick wall, then they'll realize that you have to have more empathy and compassion for everybody moving around you, and you have to keep smiling. My mom, I'm gonna make you laugh. I was I always had a mean mug, even in high school, mean mug. 'Cause I was always the midget, always skinny, always tiny, and always bullied. In high school, and even with my family, I was always bullied, and I'd always, I always fight my way through everything. And so I always had this mean face. I was like, if I look mean, they're not gonna want to talk to me. They're not gonna want to, bully me. So I'm in college at this time, my freshman year, and my mom said, "Young lady, if you don't start smiling, you're going to have wrinkles around your mouth, and you're going to have wrinkles around your eyes, and crow's feet, and you're just going to look like a bulldog." And I
Uh-oh.
said, "A bulldog? I don't look like a bulldog." She said, "Well, you better start practicing to smile." And that's when I learned I needed to start. It was fake at the beginning, but then now it's like, I'm not letting anything get me. I don't want those wrinkles.
Oh, wow. That was some good advice from Mama.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shayla, do you have any children?
No, born with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Found that out when I was 19 years old. Had a 5-pound tumor, emergency surgery, was paralyzed.
My goodness. And, there are so many people that complain, and they're 100% healthy. no problems, no, but they complain. But yet, when we look and hear your story and some of these challenges, and the fact that you are excelling in your career area of life insurance, what do you say to someone who, and obviously you don't want anybody to feel sorry for you, because that's not you, but in
Yeah.
terms of what do you say to somebody, give us some bullet points for someone who maybe they have hit a brick wall, and they just don't know where to go. They're stuck. They're healthy and really have no reason to complain. What would you say to that person, Shayla?
Number one, and I'm a very religious person, but number one, drop to your knees and pray to God for people around you that's going to love on you and that's going to care for you. And sometimes it's not your family. Sometimes it's not your immediate family. Sometimes it's just praying for the right people to come into your life
Mhm.
that's going to genuinely love on you, take you in, and show you that kindness. That kind of warms my heart. And keeping positive people, not even if you're not a religious person, because I'm not religious, but uh, but even if you don't have a religion, just keeping those positive people around you that are going to care for you and that are going to love on you, making sure that you're actually cocooning and going out into the environment, because I was a very shy person until my mom actually took me out of band in high school in 10th grade, and in 11th grade put me in speech and drama because speech and drama was cheaper than my band.
Uh,
And I was shy. I would be the student that would come home. I'm in my books. I'm close the door. I'm jamming my music. And when it's time to wake up in the morning, I'm up and on the bus. At school, I'm to myself. I had a group of friends, count them on one hand, but I was to myself. And I was never that type of person to speak and talk like I'm speaking now. So getting yourself out of your comfort zone was a big thing for me, and it was eye-opening that I even had talent to speak to anyone. And a lot of
wow.
folks don't know I'm a National Forensic Alumni member and a Catholic Forensic Alumni member. So you can Google me.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
That
just a lot of stuff.
that is that is amazing when we think about the fact that when you said that you were shy, as a matter of fact, you texted me that the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, there is just no way that you could be shy. But you know what? There is a lot of times people like yourself who and let's go back, because you said that you faked it a little bit when your mom told you to start smiling. So sometimes we do have to, and that's that comfort zone that you were talking about. So you had to step out of that comfort zone, smile a little bit, and get into that acting mode. And isn't that something that we talk about even in the insurance business, where we have to approach a client or approach someone, and let's just say they may not have a smile on their face, and then now you got to get into character. So let's talk about that. And I know that you are an expert at that. I mean, because you are rocking it and killing it in the final expense business.
Yes, ma'am. Just getting into character, and I teach my agent partners, you may be having your worst day. Sometimes you do have to stay home and reset, and reinvent yourself. So sometimes you do have to step away, but don't step away too long. 24 hours after that, you got to get back in there. Have to get back in that boxing ring and show your skills, and sometimes show off, because a lot of clients are going through this mental space of depression as well. And a lot of the target market that we have which is our senior market. They have a lot of depression. They're going through health crisis. They're going through Social Security not paying them as much money as they were making on their job job before they retired. Maybe they wasn't able to put back money for savings. They're going through a lot. So to have you sitting there loving on them and putting your problems aside, that should give anybody a warm feeling and give you a high. I know it gives me a high when my clients are like, I love you, Shayla. Nobody gonna come here and make me change. And look, you gonna be my Medicare agent. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta be your Medicare. I'm not your Medicare right now. Oh, you're gonna have to take that test, ma'am. I'm like, they're like pushing me into more insurance. So they're kind of motivating me because they're like, I'm gonna get you some referrals. Look, you need to go take that test and you need to sign up right now. I'm like, am I here to sell you insurance, or are you here to sell me on doing more insurance career options here? Like, what we doing today? And they'll laugh at me and they're like, that's my girl. And they're happy. I walk in, they're mad, sad, crying, or I don't want to talk today. And by the end of the time when I leave the home,
Yeah.
they're trying to feed me, or they're trying to go somewhere, or simply they're just like, can you come back? I know you're my agent now, but don't do like the rest did and leave me. Can you come back and see me? Can you at least call, and
Oh,
to know that feeling, oh my gosh, that gives you high. So I tell anybody, this is the best field to be in, industry actually, to be in the insurance industry, because if you're down and out, I'm telling you, your clients is going to really, really lift your spirits, because you're going to feel like you're not just doing a service, but you're helping them and you're being their friend when they have no one else. And when you have no one else to call on, you can call them and say, hey, Miss Mary, how you doing? And they'll start a conversation with you when you're feeling alone and get your spirits right up. And I mean, it's helped me a lot. The career has helped me a lot.
now how about that? A career that not only pays the kind of money that it pays in the insurance industry, but a career that it can help you emotionally when you might be feeling down, and or vice versa. I mean, that just sounds like a win-win situation. But of course, you do have to like people just a little bit, right?
Just a little bit. Because when I first started, I was like, I don't want to do customer service anymore. I don't want to, I worked in the call center for a
Okay.
long time. And I was like, I don't want to talk to people over the phone and sit from home. And I said, I want to be out, because I was in a box, corporate. You want to get out, you want to meet the people, but you don't want to meet the people.
Right.
And so taking it back to Roger, he was like, well, how does that work? You're my coach. You got to tell me how to make it work. And he was like, well, we're going to figure this thing out. He said, but it starts with you. He said, how do you think that you're going to be able to communicate with anyone when you go out if you're always quiet, if you're not willing to speak? He said, you got to come out your comfort zone. And he said, you got to find a way to come out your comfort zone. So I would just go grocery shopping, and I would just walk up and down the aisle, and I had my ISL insurance button, and I'd see if anybody would come up to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're not even looking at me. They're running. And they're deterred with their basket. They're running into things. It was just so funny, Miss Helen, because they're running into things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to take themselves out because of me being an insurance lady. And I would walk like I'm going to get an item. And no, I don't need any insurance. Like, well, ma'am, I'm not trying to sell you the insurance, but can you move on the side so I can get my mail? And they would look at me, and then we would start a conversation. And do you know, by the end of that conversation,
Yeah.
I was getting their telephone number, because I had made a friend so quick and I didn't realize. And I went back to Roger, and he said, you know what you did? You made a friend.
You made a
And
friend.
everybody wants to be able to trust someone,
That's right.
especially when you're dealing with their financials. They want to be able to find you and trust you. And I would always tell them, I'm Googleable. That's my favorite thing. Even at the meeting, I'm like, I'm Googleable. Just Google me. You can find me.
Oh,
So,
wow. So, Shayla, we've got a few more minutes. What I want to do is have you, if there is anything that, because this show, this episode is not only for our audience, but it's for you as well. It's for me, it's for anybody that's listening and watching. If there is anything encouraging that you would like to share with our audience, that ties in with Reset to Reinvent or Butterflies in Flight, what was it? What would you say to that person that's out there that needs some encouragement? Or what would you say? What else would you like to be able to say that maybe we haven't already talked about to close out this great interview here?
I would tell them honestly to reset their mindset,
Reset
reinvent,
their mindset.
reset their
Wow.
mindset, and reinvent their soul.
Reinvent their soul. Ooh.
Because if you can't reset your mindset and reinvent your soul, you're not going to go anywhere in life. And I had to actually think about that on my deathbed.
Mm.
And I said, if I don't stop what I'm not going to do in life, then I'm not going to get anywhere in life but zero. I'm going to always be on zero. I'm going to always be doing and making the same income I was making the previous year. And that's not how I wanted my life. I've always dreamed of bigger and better things. So I knew that if I was going to take care of mama and daddy, I had to make more money. And that was my whole why when I first joined doing the insurance back in 2020
Mm-hmm.
is daddy needs to retire and I need to retire daddy.
Ah.
And before my dad died in 2023, he was on my payroll. He would get $500 every Friday. He was on my payroll. And so he went to 2 days a week working part-time,
Mm.
but he was on my payroll.
Wow.
I'm being honest with you. My dad learned how to pick up money at Walmart within a week. He was serious. And even on his dying bed, he said, "Where's my money?" I said, "I know I'm dying, but where's my money?"
Oh, wow. What
Oh my.
And look how you've been a blessing not only to yourself, your family, your dad, your mom, and your clients, and that's what makes you, Shayla, just so special, and that's what makes you one of our butterflies in flight. I just want to thank you so much for joining us on this day. You have been amazing. You have been a breath of fresh air, and I just want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode, the very first interview of 8 throughout the month of June for Reset to Reinvent podcast. And you are one of our butterflies in flight. Thank you again so much, Shayla. And you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Love you, girlfriend.
You too. Thank you.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by Consolidated Planning of America. We help people with insurance.
We are back for the second half of Reset to Reinvent podcast as part of our series, Butterflies in Flight. And I hope that you enjoyed the first part of today's show with Shayla. She was amazing. And I tell you what, you think she was amazing? We have another amazing, extraordinary butterfly in flight. This is Tiffany Peterson Felder. Tiffany is a friend. She is a business partner. She's an extraordinary woman. This woman, she is like superwoman. Okay. So when we talk about Reset to Reinvent, when we talk about this particular series that's about transformation, resetting, working in adverse situations, and still having success in the final expense business. Well, this lady right here, she is the epitome of it. So I want to welcome you to Reset to Reinvent podcast, Tiffany. Hey.
Hey there. Thank you so much for having me, Miss Helen. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, it definitely is a pleasure. And so I want to just dive in, Tiffany. When I'm trying to think when I met you. It's been several years ago, and I just remember, you just have a presence about you. And you walk into a room, it's like, everybody just kind of stops and watch and listen, because when you talk, you talk like you are you're singing like you're just singing. I don't know how to explain it, because like when you have Tiffany does some of our motivational calls, and with the final expense business with CPA, Consolidated Planning of America, and it's almost like it's a music, you know, you got a beat to it, you got a rhythm to it. So speaking of rhythm, you know, Tiffany, you use a lot of uh, uh, analogies when you're talking to make your point. And so when we think about butterflies in flight, when we think about reset to reinvent, when you think about your life and how you navigate in with the family and everything that you have going on, what comes to mind when you heard when I told you the name of our series is Butterflies in Flight? What's the first thing that came to your mind, Tiffany?
The science class metamorphosis. Honestly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. When I got started in the industry, it was, I was in the medical field. That's how I was, actually discovered. I thought that I was interviewing for a job as probably a basketball coach, because it was in a newspaper and it said, we're looking for somebody competitive, goal oriented, loves sports, and likes leading people. So I was like, oh, that's great. I play basketball, love sports. So I'm like, they're looking for a basketball coach. So I'm thinking I can make some extra money in college. I show up and I look, and it's an insurance presentation. I would have never thought.
What? Now that was a pretty compelling, fascinating introduction to the insurance industry, with all of the descriptions that you bought right into. It was like, boom.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what happens, like with this whole topic, and everything that you're doing. The whole industry has been that the whole time. It's been like a lot of surprises, a lot of great things, but it's definitely been a process, kind of like a butterfly, going from that, caterpillar, just trying to grab everything, learn everything. I want to actually, take it all in, and then realize, I might need to just slow it down and actually take a moment to really like digest everything. And during that time, I think that's when we actually experience the most growth. And on the other side, you really figure out, okay, this is my niche. This is where I fit. And, that's where the butterfly comes in.
And you are definitely a butterfly, and you definitely have found a niche. And so when you think about the insurance industry, for anybody out there listening and watching, what would be let's just say three reasons that a person should consider becoming a life insurance agent?
Wow. Okay. So for me, I believe the top three reasons are: number one is the freedom that it creates, time and also financial freedom. The other reason why is because you get to be a professional, whether you choose to get a degree or not. I feel like we have the best opportunity to create a very, very good income now, and as well as through retirement age or even beyond that, passing on the legacy. So that's number two. And number three, I have to say, is because we really get a chance to create community within our vocation. I really believe that we are like in ministry with what we do. We get to help people every day. We're actually helping them in the financial space, and we're doing it amongst friends, people that start out as colleagues, but after a while they become your friends. Like you, Miss Helen, I love being around you. Can't wait till we all get together again. The camaraderie is amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And those three reasons that you shared, Tiffany, is how I have seen you since I've known you navigate when you talk about the naturally the flexibility and being able to be mobile and move about, and one thing I thought was kind of interesting though, and I'm sure anybody else listening was like, she didn't say anything about money. She didn't say anything about the income. And all of those three things, if you do them well, then the money is going to come, isn't it?
Absolutely. I really do believe, okay, money, they say it doesn't motivate people. However, it does make it makes the world go round. So all those other three reasons are great, because we actually have the power to create wealth. That goes without saying. That's a promise straight from God. But it's like,
Yes.
all those other things are what happens because we have that power. I got the choice to actually travel to the meetings out of town. I actually have the time freedom to homeschool my children. And now that I'm an empty nester, I can travel the world with my husband. It's like, and then the camaraderie. I mean, I built that over the years because of all the people that stick around. We've got great tenure. I think in our agency, we have people that stick around more than they do on average as far as the industry is concerned. And that can only happen when you have the right support.
And the word community is, I'm hearing that more and more since I started this podcast. That's been a thing, community. And I think when most people think of community, they're thinking maybe about their neighborhood and they're the neighbors across the street and next door, and that we're, hey, we're saying hi. But community, let's talk a little bit more about what community means in the business slash insurance space. What does that mean? What does that look like for somebody who's like, what does she mean, community?
Well, I believe our community has been created because a lot of us have been through some things. And a lot of times with insurance, you'll find that you have people that probably didn't have this as the thing they said they wanted to do when they were little. I didn't actually come up as a 5-year-old and say, hey, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a dancer, a firefighter, or a doctor. And what am I doing right now? I'm in the insurance field. And in a way, I feel like I'm still the same person because I literally get to always dance around everywhere that I go after the meetings, of course. And then we get to and then we get to make sure that we put out fires and we help people not even have to, worry about those, the worst day of their life. We help people put out fires before they even start. And then, finally, I mean, I really do feel like I'm just like a doctor of people's finances, like literally helping them diagnose what's going on, give them a prognosis, and on the other side, help them actually create a plan so they don't have to go through things, unprepared. So, that's, I believe, is the community we've created is because we allow people to come in here and say, yeah, it wouldn't have been my first choice, but I'm glad I chose it. And we have like this commonality amongst us that we're a little, quirky in our ways. And some of us are even a little crazy sometimes. But it's like, we get to help people ahead of time, but we're talking about the worst time. So it's so wild how we can have all this fun. We're laughing, we're joking, but we're talking about death and dying. It's like, how does
Yeah.
that work? We
Yeah.
make it all work together to show people that it is a part of life, but it can be so much better, so much easier if you just plan ahead of time.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so you have a blended family. You have a large family, and they're and you just mentioned that you're an empty nester. And so tell us about this blended family and how did that come about, and in conjunction with that, the fact that you got like, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 houses. I mean, you like 4 or 5 different states and cities. She's always somewhere in another place. So it's almost like, thank goodness for cell phones, or we never be able to find you, Tiffany. So tell us what that looks like, what that's like for you with the blended families, because that's more and more a thing
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And that's not an easy thing to maneuver, especially in the industry called, well, you know what, maybe the industry of insurance may help make that a little bit easier, but I don't know. What say you, Tiffany?
Well, our relationship did actually spring out of me leaving an appointment, going to a basketball game for my son. And he normally does a jump ball, and I was showing up with my debit card, not knowing that you needed cash when you show up at the door. And the lady told me I couldn't go in. And I was like, my baby's doing the jump ball. I have to get in there so he sees me before he goes to do that jump ball. And so she was like, no way. And I'm going to tell you that I heard a voice behind me say, I've got you. And that was my husband. Not my husband at the time. He actually reached past me and he actually paid for my ticket to get in the game so I could hurry up and get in there just so my son Caleb could
Oh,
actually look over and say, hey, mom, before he actually started the game. And ever since then, he's had me. And the thing that was so special was our sons were best friends and we just didn't know. And because, we're a blended family. Like his
What?
son was with his mom and my son was with his father, and we just didn't know. So yeah, when we started dating and we finally let the kids know, we called the boys, and I actually said, "Hey, Caleb, I got something to tell you." He's like, "What?" "Tommy's gonna be my brother and my best friend." And they just thought it was the funniest thing. And so I'm like, you're supposed to be at the basketball game, playing basketball, focusing on the actual floor. He said, "Mom, I'm always watching." And I guess that's the thing that makes it the blended family so special. We've got 10 children together and 6 grandchildren, 3 grand dogs, and a grand cat. And it's a very busy dynamic. But even in that, I'm able to fit in everything as far as the family is concerned around my actual business. So that's the great thing, that no matter where I travel, I can actually have leads there. I can follow up with clients there. I can go see agents there and also be able to make sure we still have family time. So it really works out, and it always has. Like I said, I was a homeschool mom only because, and I was able to maintain that because of the scheduling of the insurance industry. I was able to actually travel like we do, and the children and I, we've traveled all around the world, and we're able to go home back to Michigan for a whole summer and work there the whole summer because of the insurance industry. So this business has actually afforded me to actually be transient as much as I am, and then not to mention having my husband really support me in what we do. And yeah, he's my techie guy. He helps me with a lot of the stuff behind the scenes on the technology side, the websites, and all the other stuff that we do. So it just has really worked out for us to have this industry be something that actually helps us be a stronger family.
What would you say for someone who may not have the support from their spouse? What would you say to encourage that person? Because that can be a challenge, whether you're in the insurance business or any other type of industry. What would you say to that person to encourage someone who may not have that support, which obviously you and your husband have? And for our audience, I've had the chance to meet this wonderful man, and he's just an awesome guy, and he's really a cool guy, Tiffany.
Yes, he is. No bragging rights, but honestly, yes, he is. I've really been blessed. But I would say for anybody that does not have that support, it wasn't always like that. My previous situation, it was more like we were competing, as far as our careers. And it was always a battle. As I kept on being promoted, it was almost like jealousy and contention happen, and you're living your life out here and I'm over here and life is not really moving. And so I know what it's like to be that person that does not have the support. And I would say that's even more of a time for you to make sure that you really tap into your community that has been created here, to be able to still know that your life has value, that you actually matter, that what you do is very important, and your purpose is your purpose, no matter what the people around you actually do, because it won't always be supportive. You're going to have ebbs and flows. You're going to have high income days and maybe low income days. And
Yeah.
people that work a job or are a little bit less supportive may not really understand that all the time. So that's why it's even more important for you to really find those people, within our agency that you can relate to, and find other maybe single moms or single dads, so you all can actually be each other's support through this process when you feel like you're alone. And we do our best to let you know that you're not alone, whether you're working in the field or if you're, doing telesales. We do our best to try to make sure that you know that you're not by yourself. And I would say, one thing about it, always let that loved one know what's going on. Because the more transparent you are, if you let them know what the goal is and incorporate them into your goals and say, hey, I'm going to be out here, 8, 9, 10 hours, during the summer months. But we're going to go somewhere for a trip before school starts. That's what I used to do with my children. I was like, let's go ahead and plan this trip now. And if you just let me go out here and you help me with the dishes and you help out at home and you make sure your grades are good, this is what's going to happen on the other side. So the more you can incorporate your family into your goal setting, and then when you're out there, when you come back, let them know what's going on, good and bad, and be authentic about it. You had a bad day, let them know. You had a great day, come in, busting the door down. Hey, I got a great day. You got to keep them in the loop. And I think that actually does help you actually be a better agent, and also a better mother and a better spouse or significant other.
Peace of mind, peace in the family, peace in your relationship, peace with your children, all of that ties into the success that you have created over the years in the final expense industry. And it seems like you work really hard to build and create and enhance and manifest that peace. That's what I see, Tiffany, based on what you just shared.
I really appreciate that, Miss Helen, but it wasn't always like that. I used to be a lone ranger, which didn't work. And so I had to learn to actually incorporate more people and actually have that support system away from home, because being from Michigan, I came to North Carolina when I got my license in 1998. So making a family from people that really weren't related to me became like a skill set. You know, it was my spiritual family first, and then it became my actual business family next.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started intermingling that my business family found out they were believers. So now we're spiritually connected and we're business connected. So it's like it all worked together. And I think that's something that was been passed down, because now my kids, it's almost like they know no strangers. They're always saying, hey, I just met a new friend. You know, I just met this person. They're out and about doing their thing. And I think that's one thing that's great about this industry. It shows us that reaching out and creating connection is really a good thing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So when I want to ask you this, as we're slowly getting to a wrapping point, I want to find out when you obviously you've heard some of my episodes of Reset to Reinvent, and I know you're all excited for me and all. And so when you think about, because you're so good at words and the way they flow together, when you think about the term, the name of my actual podcast, Reset to Reinvent, what does that mean to you?
Well, I truly believe that what it means to me is, first of all, you are a leader and you're a trailblazer. And this is a manifestation of who you are. And I believe the more that we're able to identify that in the women that are around us, I just believe that we'll be an even stronger unit to make sure our communities are intact, our families are good, our children are cared for. Because at the core of it all, I truly believe that we exist as women to help and rebuild the lives of other people that have been through big challenges. You know, my mission really is just to provide a way, not just inspiration, but to provide a way with some tools, also some guidance and some strategies and that community. So therefore they can actually bounce back, make the resilience that much easier, because we give them a springboard to be able to make it happen. And of course, the financial piece definitely helps, because it's a lot easier to be able to bounce back when you can at least afford to go get a massage or your hair done or your nails done or something. So you feel good about who you are. You know, take yourself out to eat, go to the movies, do something as far as self-care. So when I think of this, I think of, you know, it's okay to start over. It's okay to give yourself some grace. And when you do that, it's even better when you find a community that'll support you through it.
Oh, and once again, you're using the word community, and that is a common thread of when we think about even the CPA family, the Consolidated Planning of America family. And one of the first things you said when you came on was that, hey, look forward to seeing you so we can give each other a hug, because it's been a minute since we've seen each other in person. And of course, we communicate on a regular from text messages and on the conference calls, on the manager's call. And so this whole community that we have, and I want to have you address this as it relates to someone, because there's a lot of insurance agencies out there. There's a lot of IMOs and PMOs and all of those other acronyms. But for someone who's thinking about becoming a life insurance agent, whether it's someone never have done insurance before or someone who's seasoned, what is it special about Consolidated Planning of America and that the community that you keep talking about? How does that make us set us apart, if you will, from other agencies out there, and not knocking all of the thousands of agencies, but at some point we have to be able to say, look, we got the juice, this is what we got, and we want you to be a part of this. So how do you talk to me about that, Tiffany?
I believe one thing that makes us different is in the name. Consolidated Planning of America. I believe that our name speaks to who we are. We've taken a lot of the actual fluff out of the situation and put it inside of one space, consolidating it, making it where we, show you the bells and whistles to be able to get to cash flow as quickly as possible. And we don't just say it, we mean it, and it happens for people that follow what we do. So that's one thing that makes us different. A lot of
Yeah.
people will train you to death and you won't have made any money in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. And it's like, that's unsustainable. And then the planning portion of it, I really believe that we do a lot to plan. Like you and I, we both know that we plan to make sure that everybody is trained. They know what they're
Yeah.
doing. They know not only
Right.
just how to start over, but they also know what to do next once they're in here. So it's like, I
Right.
know what to say and how to say it. I know how to actually walk in it because I see other people that have already went on that path. And then the America part, we're all over the place. We're able to do what we do literally across the country. And
Yes.
we can do it multiple ways. So you don't have to do just door to door. You don't have to do just over the phone. You could be a hybrid like myself and a lot of other people that whether you're in front of me or you're on the phone with me, one way or another, I'm going to help you get to the other side as far as insurance is concerned. So for me, that's some of the stuff that makes us different. But beyond that, we've got a tenacious, wholehearted, all in, 100% committed leader. And I'm going to just say
Yeah.
Dr. Burns is probably the most dedicated, hardworking individual I know. When it comes to
Absolutely.
this industry, I mean, up late, and also rising again early. And he's on it all day, every day. It doesn't stop. And a lot of times he'll tell us, well, I don't know if this is actually healthy and I don't know if you should duplicate it. But it's hard not to follow in his footsteps as much as you possibly can to try
Right.
to make those same results happen, if not more. And so for that, I don't see a lot of other agencies where the leadership is running faster than a lot of the other leaders or the actual agents in the agency.
Right.
And so I believe that's something that makes us different. Not to mention we have some powerhouse women of all ages, all generations. We have
Yes.
actually bridged the generation gap over here. And he doesn't mind us actually stepping up front and actually running it. He lets us actually just go out front and go say, handle it. You guys got it. And he trusts us to be able to do so. And a lot of people have been able to glean from some great results behind it. So
Yes.
I believe that's some of the things that makes us different.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it, Tiffany. I tell you, as we wrap up this wonderful interview in Butterflies in Flight, I want to find out, is there anything else that you would like to share for our audience, for our listeners, for our viewers that maybe you haven't had a chance to say or I didn't address? Something, encouraging? Is there anything else that you would like to be able to say as we wrap up this Butterflies in Flight? And you are one of my butterflies in flight.
I appreciate that, Ms. Helen. I thank you so much. I'm honored for you to even consider me a butterfly amongst you, because we all know that when butterflies all get together and they actually fly in their actual groups around the world, they're the ones that shift the atmosphere. And I just appreciate you allowing me to be one of those, because they literally can change the weather. And that's how I feel we do, with Consolidated Planning of America, the women in this organization. When we actually band together, we shift the atmosphere in the rooms, when we actually have meetings, on the Zooms, when we have trainings, and anywhere else we go, individually and collectively. So I just want to really say that I appreciate you. And if there's anybody out there that feels like you're falling apart and you're trying to find your way, don't blame yourself. Just find yourself. You are over here. We won't judge you. We won't actually say you can't do this. In fact, we'll tell you the opposite. Even when you think you can't, we're going to tell you that you can, because I truly believe that you were created with the power to create wealth. And it's up to us to let you know that you're not alone while you're doing it. We'll be right here beside you, pushing you along the way, being that wind beneath your wings, as we talk about. I'm really grateful that we have a system that we can actually help people along the way so they can actually rise and they can fly too.
All right. Oh, I want to thank you so much, Tiffany, and I want to thank everybody for joining us on this episode. I believe this is episode 12. That's going to be a part of actually the first of 4 weeks in a row of Dynamic Women. In this episode, you heard from Shayla and you heard from Tiffany, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us on today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast. Please like, download, and subscribe. When you subscribe on any of your favorite podcast platforms, what that does is give you, the listener, the viewer, an opportunity to not miss an episode, because you'll get that alert every Monday when a new episode comes out. Please share our podcast with your friends and visit our website. Visit our website at reset2reinvent.com. Go to our Reinvent store where there's books on leadership. There is a book about 8 reasons that you need to become a life insurance agent. Check it out. I wrote the book. It's a really good book. And there's a personalized daily journal in there too. So if you go to that Reinvent store, check it out. And hey, I want to let you know, family, we're going to see you next time, and we look forward to next week when we have 2 more dynamic women. Want to thank you again, Tiffany, for joining us here, and we're going to see you next time. Why? Because you deserve to be inspired. Peace.
Reset to Reinvent podcast. We are living in uncertain times. Job security is becoming more elusive. People are losing their jobs. Companies are closing. But wait, have you ever considered a career as an insurance agent? Just a thought. Our much talked about ebook, 8 Reasons to Become a Life Insurance Agent, can help you decide if it's for you or not. Order your copy today. Visit our website, Reset to Reinvent, and click on the Reinvent store. Who knows? It may be the best decision you've made in a long time.